up as oil and acrylic, have as much paraphernalia to carry with you. You can pack it up. There's no odors. There's no safety issues with turpentines and chemicals. It's just water. And the paints are simple to carry around. They're in this little tubes. And you can use a variety of brushes and all kinds of tools around your house or in your kitchen or anywhere else to do all kinds of fun things. So now what we've done is we've done several paintings and we're doing this small building. I wanted to show you how to do a building on a 300-pound watercolor paper. Now remember that's what we're working on. Let me go ahead and just kind of recap this very quickly. This is 300-pound watercolor paper. It's a little rougher. We can see up here in the sky, in the places it's got a little bit more of a textury effect. Some people really like that, and I do in some cases. The smoother boards, you don't get quite as much texture, depending on what you like. And then what I've done is I've got me a little mat here that I usually keep several of these mats around the studio of different sizes, so I can sit down here to cut out my peripheral vision. So I can move it around and see, like for instance, if I think I want to move this tree, make it a little bigger, I can do that, or I can change things around. If I want a little more negative space over here, you can do all kinds of fun things. But right now, I think I'm pretty pleased with the basic layout. Again, this is this old building I found up in Silverton, Colorado, the old mining town that's north of above Denver. It's a wonderful place to go, and if you're an artist and you like old buildings, you need to go there. And it's fun to ride the train up there to it. All right, I've got my dabble board here also to kind of tap, tinker with before I get to the painting. We left off putting in some issues on the, little wood on the painting, make some shadows, and we're going to emphasize those. We're going to make them a little darker. Remember, everything's done in stages. Then I'm going to take my little chisel edge brush, my number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting in the doors and windows where they all belong, and we'll get them kind of dark. So let's go to, let's just take a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown. This is the burn umber. I'll put a little blue in there. All right, now I kind of laid these out a little bit last week, but I didn't do a very good job. I just kind of laid them in there quickly and kind of clean them up. It's so much fun. Watercolor is an incredible adventure. Of course, you can make these windows as big or as little as you feel comfortable with. I noticed up there, these are old mining buildings, and I don't know anything about mining. I'm sure some of you that are in that industry or have been could give me some really interesting feedback on this, but they were all tall. A lot of them were real tall buildings. You can see conveyor belts coming in. Okay, now see, I've got those 3 windows in there. I'm going to put a door down here. There's a door right here. See, it's just real simple just to block those in like that. Oh, I think there's another window right here. A smaller window. Sometimes you do it for artistic reasons. It's not necessarily because it was really there. It just looks good. Now, right here, where these 2 buildings come together, there's a little separation. And just, again, more for interest than it is anything else. Whether it's really there or not, I don't know. And it really doesn't matter. All I'm going to do is just put a little soft shadow. Well, it's actually not so soft. It's a definite shadow to kind of separate the 2 buildings. See, that kind of separates them. It makes it look a little more interesting, I think. Okay, so now the building's starting to shape up a little bit. And also I want you to notice that last week when I underpainted with these grays, notice I left little bits and pieces of the paper show through. That's good. You want that. That adds a little bit of texture and creativity to it. Now we're going to darken our overhang shadows. That'll make that really come forward, the overhangs. So I'm going to go back there to a little more purple. Oh, got into the blue there. Didn't mean to do that. Take the purple. There we go. A bit of umber. I want a nice, deep, rich color, but I don't want it to go to the extreme on the brown. I want it to be on the purple side. So I'm going to hit these again now. Remember last week we left off and it was bleeding a little on me, so I suggested we wait till this week. So I'm going to reestablish this shadow here, nice and dark. See how well that works? Keep it a little darker up underneath here. It's always darker up underneath the eaves there. A little darker here, just slightly. And tap it along the edge there. It'll be a nice little darker overhang shadow here. Now take that same brush, rinse it out just a little bit. Don't get rid of all the paint. And up in this area here, let's go ahead and cast down this little shadow a little further. Not to where it's as dark as the other, but it's darker because it is up underneath there. Now remember, I did a little study. This is my original study, the little reference material that we're using. And it's not going to change too much, but I'm going to do a little different things to it. First thing I'm going to do now is going to put a purple wash on this. So I'm going to go to my dioxazine purple. I'm going to thin it down, just using the purple straight. And I'm going to wash this. But I'm doing it with strokes. And the reason is because I want that wood look. See that cool looking? I love that effect. And if you're using a good chiseled edge like this brush is, you will love it. So I want you to just streak these purple tints over this. And these little touches of water as I go. Test it over here first before you ever get too far into it. Do this little segment here. See, in watercolor, folks, even though we do a lot of layering, as you know, in acrylic, well, and even in oil for that matter, it's even more effective to do a lot of glazing and washes, layer on top of layer to get these effects that you want. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to block in the windows on this side, and I'm going to go back to that same color, but I'm darkening it just a little bit with a little mud I had over there. And you can make these up. Let's just say, let's put a window here, a window here, a couple here. See, I've got my brush slightly angled. And let's put a couple of windows here, and here, and then another door right there. So what that does, it kind of gives you a little bit more of a, I don't know, finished look to that part of the building. Now that's not all. We're still moving on here. The next thing we're going to do is on the front here, I've got this little overhang I want to put over the this part of the building. So I'm going to sketch this in lightly with my pencil here. Now in this case, and I'm breaking my own rule, I'm using a softer lead. This is a 2B pencil, because now I'm on top of a color and it's not showing up if I use the 2H, which is a harder lead. Here I want it to show up a little bit, and we're going to paint over it anyway, so it's not going to matter. So I'm putting my line in here, coming across here, put my little overhang. So I'm just creating a little, you might call it a parallelogram. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, you probably can't even see this. I'm going to take my little number 2 chisel edge brush. I'm going to go over here. Another one of those rare times you get to use a little opaque white. Remember we discussed that. There's 2 kinds of white you can get. This happens to be Chinese white. That's not a brand name. That's just a color. It's called Chinese white. And I'm just going to use the white. Going to kind of opaque this. You can also buy gouache. Gouche. That's a French opaque watercolor, and I use it a lot. Now I'm tinting that with just a little bit of muck there, whatever that is. Now I'm coming down here, and I'm going to lightly skim over the top of this. You can see this now. I'm taking a lot more time on this than a lot of you would expect. But I really want you to see how the dynamics of a watercolor and how they work. And so there's the little lean-to that's blocked in. And we're not going to finish it yet, but we're blocking it in. In our next session, we'll put all the little final details. I'm going to brighten it a little. So I'll put just a little more white in that so I want to see it just a little bit more, and I want you guys to see it too. Okay, it's good. Now, we've created this effect that the light's coming in from the left-hand side, okay? So there's going to be some cast shadows. I don't know exactly where the light's at, but it's coming from somewhere over there. So now we're going to shadow this little building right here. It's going to cast a bit of a shadow on this section. So now we go over here to our purple again. Put a little bit of mud in it, something, a little brown or a little whatever. Work it over here on your dapple board. And underneath this building, you're going to definitely have shadow. So we'll darken that door in a minute, folks. But I want you to darken underneath here. Get a little cast shadow on this side of the just a little more darkness down here. I'm just dragging my brush. This is called dry brushing. Not after anything particular. I just want a little cast shadow like that. Leaving a little bit of the background showing through. And everything you do now will get just a little more exciting. Okay, now while that's kind of setting up, let's decide, let's go ahead and darken the door. Now we go back to the blue and the purple, and a little bit of brown. And get that as black as you can stand it. Get this door really dark in here. There you go. And if you decide to put another window or something in there, you can. I'm not going to do that just yet. But I'm going to darken this window. See, you can just go over these over and over and over until everything starts to work. A bit more shadow. All right, I'm going to just clean up the edge of this roof just a little bit with this dark color. And we're cooking. Yeah, it looks great. Now I'm going to put in my posts. Use the same color. I just thin it down a little. I'm not sure how dark they're going to need to be for sure, but go ahead and dab in and put these like this. Put this one here. Make them a little fatter than that. Then take that same color, put a little edge across the front of the build of this lean-to. And dab it like that. We can see the shape of it. Now we can brighten it a little bit, but we're going to brighten it right on the tip there. The rest of this will kind of be in shadow. Well, let's put the shadow in first. So go back to your purple tint, and you're going to cast your shadow like this. And so we know the sun's going to just maybe hit the corner. I'm doing this for effect only. If this is exactly how it is, I don't know. But it works good in a painting because you need to be able to see this little highlight right here. And we'll keep brightening this as the painting progresses. There you go. So it looks like the edge of the, the sun hitting just that little corner right there. Now we're still going to do some edge work, but let's do a little bit of work up here now on the other side of the building. Up here on the roof, we're going to take a little bit of yellow ochre, thin it down, and I want you to just wash some little strokes in like this. Just to give it a little color, to get rid of the pure white. I mean, the white's good. So you can streak over this. You don't have to, as long as you streak it quickly, you're not going to smear the paint. This just warms it up just a touch. In fact, you can actually, give this a little more color. Let's go with some cad yellow. I think this might be fun. Because we got a lot of purples in here. And the complement to purple, of course, is yellow. And we just wash a little yellow into this. Clean that up a little bit. I like that yellow in there. It kind of makes it look a little bit better. Now we'll put just a little more mud. I'm going to use anything on my palette. I'm going to put a little bit of wash on this. just to kill it from being so perfectly white. I'm kind of softening the edge a little bit. See, I'm just kind of what you call dinking around with it. I'm doing what I want to do to it to make me feel good. And you do the same. That's what's wonderful about watercolor. You just play with it, soften edges, move them around. It's really exciting. Okay, now while we're kind of letting things sit a little bit, let's go down with a little more on our foreground. We need to get back and kind of loosen up anyway and get a little stiff there. Let's go to our number 6 bristle brush, the same brush we used in our oil painting. I'm going to rinse it out. On the right hand side over here, I'm going to have, in this you can see here, I'm going to get this, now this is just a little sketch, but there's a shadow here. I want to put some brush here, and then I'm going to put some stronger highlights in the grasses here that have grown up against the building. So let's get our little shadow in first. Let's take, let's say the yellow green and the hooker's green, kind of mud it up with some stuff here, a little bit of purple in there. You know, that probably it'll be dark enough. This needs to be fairly rich. All right, start down here, flip it up. Now this is definitely what you call dry brush blending. Now what that means is it's a dry brush technique, see, and it's not real wet. Obviously you have to have water in it to make it move. I'm just flipping up some grasses here. As I'm going out beyond my line where my mat was, probably time to take another look. You see how this is developing, folks? This will be your shadow. Just use old mats, just because you're going to get paint on them. Don't use the good mat that you're going to, finish it with. I always just keep some old mats around the studio. I got dozens of them, all sizes and shapes. All right, let's go over here. A little bit more. Isn't that cool? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my number 2 bristle brush, and I'm going to take some yellow green and some yellow, and I'm going to really mix it right there. In fact, I'm going to flip up some brighter grasses right in here against that. And then you kind of swish some color on there. See, I'm just trying to show you guys that so many things you can do. You don't have to be so careful with watercolor. And it still creates the effect of fun stuff going on. So I just kind of swish it. Gives it a little light back in there. We'll put a little grass in there. So I'm just combining the colors. I think that's really cool looking. I guess only an artist can get excited about something like this, but it really is fun for me to watch a painting like this come together. Even though it's small, can you see it developing? You're creating a little bit of fun color, which we're going to put a little back in there. So in fact, while I'm thinking about it, this area back and through here and over here, while we've got these colors setting up a little bit, let's dab in a little bit of that. So take your bristle brush. Yeah, you can use your sponge too, but let me just share something with you guys real quick about the sponge issue. I think my sponge has disappeared here. Let me pull it out. There it is. Let me show you something about a sponge that you need to be aware of. A sponge is one of the best tools you'll have as an artist in watercolor. This is the natural sea sponge. Yeah, it makes great texture and stuff, but because it is fairly coarse, it's a little harder to control some things, like if you're going to leaf something, and that's what I want to do now. I want to leaf this a little bit, put some highlights, and it can't get quite as much control. It's great for larger areas, but right now I'm going to take this number 2 bristle brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of yellow green, again, put just a little more into it, kind of flatten my brush. Now this is almost like regular painting. I'm going to tap in some highlights back in this side of the building for 2 reasons. Number 1, to add a little more emphasis to the detail on this side. Adds a little contrast of color, which I love that little contrast. And then it sort of dictates a little bit about the season even. Is it spring or is it summer? Well, it looks like it's kind of shaping up to be spring, so I love that little bit of highlight right there. It looks really good. Don't get it too bright yet. I'm not saying like when we get ready to finish this, we won't brighten it a little more. I'm going to highlight just a little right into here, like the sun may be coming through on that side, hitting that little spot. Then we come over here. You just gently tap it like this. I'm tapping it. You're just going to start bringing in some nice little highlights. And this thing gets better and better. Now, we are painting a little more opaque, but it's still watercolor. What I'm getting at is you're just putting the paint on thicker instead of it just being a wash. You're now just tapping it on more as a little bit more like a regular painting. Now I'm going to some orangey tints just to break up the monotony of so much green. Love this little effect here. And flip up some little grasses back in here, some warmer tones. Yeah, I like that a lot. Now see this little spot right here, this little white spot? Yeah, you can do all kinds of things with things like that. You can leave it. You can add something to it. If it bugs you, you can create something there. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to put a little bush there. I think I'll stick with the same brush. And take a little bit of the green. A little purple. I like this deeper green for this. This will give us a little contrast against the side of the building here. We'll just kind of tap in a little bush here. You can also use this as a shaping tool to shape the edge of the building. Also notice what it does. It pushes this little pile of rocks or whatever we scraped in. See how it creates a nice contrast right there? I like that effect. And slowly but surely this building's starting to do what, once it decides to do, just lost the end of my brush there. That happens sometimes. And what I'm doing now, see what's neat about watercolor, how you can just blend the edge. So you just take that little water, feather it, then you got a soft blend. Whereas in acrylic or oil, you would have to be using white paint to do that to get that blend. So all you're doing is giving that a little shape like a tree or a bush. I'm going to leave this little strip of light right here for now. Now I think the building's dry enough that we can start putting some final applications on it. So now we're going back to the number 2 chisel edge brush here. And I think what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to clean up this edge a little bit. So I'll take a little bit of white. I want to clean up this door a little bit, skinny it up some. I think I got it just a little too wide. Yeah, I'm going to just thin it down just a hair. And thin these down just a hair. See what's neat? You can wet your paper, just skim the edges, and you can move that paint around. A lot of people don't realize you can do that, but you can move it around and clean things up. Now the next thing I want to do here, I want to start putting some details in this. I'm going to put some other color. I'm going to take a little cad red over here, thin it down, wash this on. Actually, that was the wrong red. There we go. This is some great color to put in here. Now don't put it on solid. See, I'm just streaking it. Because you want some color in here now. Then when you get that in there, you'll be able to start applying some of these other colors other places. Because what we're doing, we're trying to pick up some of our sky color. And also, folks, we've got several more things we're going to do. Believe it or not, this little painting has got more to it than you think. And we have our large dead tree here. But I want to take this tree that's on the left, I'm going to expand it a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this tree a little wider. See, that's what this little mat does for me. It helps me do that. I'm going to take the Hooker's green with a little bit of purple. And I'm going to make this tree a little wider. With just a little better shape. Yes, perfect. Oh man, that looks good. I love to paint pine trees like this. especially with watercolor, because you can get those edges so soft. Isn't that a beautiful tree? I love that tree. Now, right back over in here, I want to do I want to put another small one, a little small pine tree, and it'll be dark enough to pop out. Now, folks, we're about to run out of time, and I know you're thinking, my gosh, it's taking all this time to do one little painting. Well, it's mostly about the layering. I want you to see it. Next week, we're going to put the final details on the building, put the large dead tree in, and a few minor details in the foreground. And if we have time, I'm going to show you how to do a quick, fun little note card or a Christmas card or something like that so that you can learn how to take watercolors and do those kind of things on your own. It's just such a fascinating technique. You can do a lot of things quickly and very efficiently with watercolor. So as usual, we're about to run out of time here. I want to stand back. Boy, now, see what that one tree did right there? It brings things forward, scoot it over just a little bit. Now, look how it's framing in your building. Isn't that exciting? Now, let's really quickly take a little bit of white. I want to tip the edge of the building out now again. Right here, where the sunlight's hitting this. And take it right down the side where the post is. That'll be your sunlight hitting that. And this. Okay. And again, folks, if you want to add a little more color to your walls or anything, you can do that. Now,